Alright, Shalom, coming to the name of Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Rakakudash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well, and salutes unto the Archim that continue to push the word in truth and in sincerity. Now, what I've been meaning to do for a while is get into some lessons on the Lashon Kodash, which they call the Paleo Hebrew Syrian scripts and things of that nature. And just checking out a few documentaries out there, and this one is quite recent actually, by the BBC4. And I'm kind of skipping around certain parts, but they've got this agenda that everything goes back to Egypt. Now, what you'll find deeper than these Kemet dudes and the Hamites themselves, the biggest advocates for Egypt and Egyptology, ain't you Kemite niggas, man. The biggest advocates for Egyptology and back to Egypt is actually Edomites, man. Which could get into that, but that's like another spin-off from what I want to really get into. But I want to play a little bit here, because I was thinking about it, man. All languages, man, watered down versions, but it all goes back to the Paleo Hebrew, man. It goes back to the Lashon Kodash, man. Okay, right. And the closest language to Hebrew right now would be Arabic and Aramaic. Okay, a lot of that's another lesson. I want to get into this, man, in a series of shows. But pretty much the closest two languages to Hebrew is Arabic and Aramaic. It's all the same thing, really. Arabic is just a bastardized version of Hebrew. Similar words, man. Like shalom, peace, shalom. In Arabic it would be salam. Certain words are the same, like no or not. In the Hebrew, la'a. In Arabic it would be le, same thing. Even certain names, like David, is Dawada. In Arabic it's Dawood. So you see how they see the similarities, man. See the similarities. The word Allah, obviously they pronounce it differently, but it's the same word, because that's like the ultimate name for God to Muslims. So they'll be like Allah, but it's just Allah, which just means power. Okay, so that's enough for another lesson. Anyways, I want to play a little bit of this, man.
They saw the head of the bull. They could immediately relate to it, because this was the head of their own god, Baal.
Okay.
But in their Semitic dialect, the animal was called Aluf, or Alf, or...
See? So, in the Shemitic languages is what? Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic. Okay. And they said, she just said Aleph or Aluf. Alright. In the Hebrew, that would be what? Allah. Alright. Like when they read that Quran in Arabic, I was just talking about Arabic. They have this thing, they say Alif Lam Mim, and then they'll start reciting that book. Okay, but like those are letters, Alif, Lam, and Mim. Okay, the Alif is the first. Okay, alright. Allah. An alphabet is just pretty much saying A, B, C. The A, Ba, Da, Ga,
So they looked at this bull but they would say Aleph instead of the
Yeah,
Egyptian word.
yeah, they said it in their own language. What do they care? And then they decided this will stand for Ah.
So they would make it much simpler than that, I
Yeah.
suppose, just in a couple of strokes of the brush, really.
Yeah, the head of the bull, you know. That's why you got it in Genesis, you know. Is it you know, in the Yiddish they'll say Bereshith, Barash Ayath, you know, in the headings, you know, in the beginning, because that's how you know, the titles were made for certain books. They'll just take the first couple of words and call it that. You know, the script in the Torah, it starts out, or you know, obviously if you translate in English, in the beginning God, or in the beginning the powers. So, you know, it was called Genesis, the headings, the beginnings, you know.
Right. Many hundreds of years later, scribes in Phoenicia adopt this drawing of the bull. They just turn it around because they don't care about the image.
Because they don't care, you know. Obviously they're gonna start going off, and you know, you just play it, man, you know. But they say certain stuff, and yeah, obviously that's off, man, because they don't care. No, they knew what they were doing, man, you know. Right, now you had the hieroglyph. Now when you watch the earlier part of this documentary, they want to make it seem as if this was inspired by the hieroglyphs. That's a completely different thing, man. Okay, and they cut themselves because they said in the Semitic languages, right? Chum is not a Shemite, man. You know, he's not a Semitic, so how can you correlate their writing code or language, as it were, you know, to that of Sem or Shem? Doesn't make sense. It's really Sham.
The Romans just changed the direction. And you reach your A in English and in Latin, and what you have here is.
So you see how it's changed from the first to the second to the, what we know in English. So all these languages go back to the Hebrew, man. You know. Now that you know, there's more on it, but I just wanted to play that part because, like I said, I'm Lord willing, Abrazar. You know, I'm gonna start doing some more lessons on the Hebrew and some documentaries that I've been watching and stuff. You know, but if we go to yeah, the 11th chapter, man, Genesis 11. All right. And you know, like I said, in these documentaries, they want to submit some Egyptology bullshit as the origins of civilization and languages and things of that nature, which is bullshit, man. Alright. These languages are a result of intentional confusion. Okay, we're gonna get into it right now. This is Genesis, the 11th chapter, and it says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. What the fuck were they talking, man? Right, weren't no Egyptology, Egyptian, you know. You know what pisses you off when you watch these documentaries, man? Because they're hypocritical. She just said Semitic languages, man. That's Hebrew, Aramaic, and Arabic, man. But then you're trying to submit some Egyptology shit way earlier in the documentary. It doesn't make sense, bro. Okay? Because they're not Semitic or Shemitic, man. You know? So when you watch these things, you got to pick out the bones, of course. But it says, and the whole earth was of one language, alright? Which would be one language in the Hebrew would be of one language and one speech. That would be Achad, Lashawan Achad wa Dabar Achad. Okay. Alright, you know. Cause you're trying to, you know, you got to get into that Hebrew, man. You know, not all the time brothers practice that. You know, Wahachal, Aharatz, Lashawan, Achad, Wa Dabar Achad, and the whole earth was one language and one speech. Now, grammatically, I may have made some mistakes there because certain words, for example, you wouldn't say one language. In Hebrew, it would be language one. So, you say it backwards, which is really the right way around, But that language was, what we were just speaking, Hebrew, man. Otherwise known as Lashon Chodash, the holy tongue. Or it can be called Lashon Tahar, the pure tongue. Alright? And it says, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar and dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime they had for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city, a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Now people think, how could they do that all those years back? They didn't have the technology. Well, the Apocrypha speaks about the machinery of the ancient, man, which was way more advanced than certain infrastructural aids and cranes and things of this nature that we have today. Okay. Alright. And then it says, and the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. So he tells us there who would build the children of men. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one. Alright. Achad, meaning unified. Alright. Not that it's one person. How can people be one? People is plural. Alright. And one is singular. So when it says the people is one, it means they're in Achad, or one in aim, goal, and deed, which in this case was wicked. And they have all one language. Yeah, that one language was the Hebrew, because nothing else was spoken before. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So that's where the angels went down and moved upon the people, and they all started speaking different languages, man. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth. So all the people that could speak the same languages, they went and dwelt together in different parts of the earth. And they left off to build the city. So they forgot it. Therefore the name it says here, Babel, which in the Hebrew is Babal, because the Lord did there confound their language of the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. That's when people started to spread out. In the Hebrew, Babal means confusion, man. If a man is speaking to you in Mandarin Chinese and you're responding in French, it's just not gonna work out. Okay. If the individuals aren't bilingual, it's not gonna work out. You got one man saying "Wunzing Zera," next man responding "S'il vous plaît, je sois, bonsoir." It's not making sense, bro. It can't work. It's fucking confusion. So that's what the Lord did to them. Okay, and then we just read it from there. That's why you get people moving out. And it gets into the generations of Sham, which is where we come from. But anyhow, this is like a quick one on the language, man. This is the origins of these other languages, but formerly before that, it was the Hebrew, man. Alright, that's the language of the heavens, man. We could get into that, but like I said, we're going to do some more lessons on this Hebrew and these documentaries, man. And for now, I'm out, man. So,